Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger. Now that Android 17 and cooler have released, they are the last of the announced DLC characters, so I think it's time for a review of the DLC characters in general, all 8 that have been announced so far. So if you don't have any of these characters, you can also maybe consider this a little bit of a buyer's guide. It was actually quite a shock to me. I normally, when it comes to any fighting games, I just buy the season pass, right? And turns out I thought that's just what everyone did, and I'm dead wrong because I'm in the minority. It turns out most of you guys seem to buy the characters piecemeal, so maybe if you're looking to get a certain character, this might help you out with that. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is this. For each character, I just want to give a brief overview of what the character is kind of about in this game. I do want to give a kind of an overall viewing of their strength competitively, which I know is a bit subjective, but oh well. I do want to talk about their uniqueness, just kind of how fun are they to play, and then I'm just going to give them an overall scoring. So with this scoring, I'm going to use the most scientifically accurate system I have on available, which will be fat monkeys. So it'll be a system of how many fat monkeys out of 5. So without any further ado, we're going to go through these in the order they were released in. So let's start with Bardock. So what is Bardock in Dragon Ball FighterZ? Well, Bardock, he's a hyper-aggressive, hyper-oppressive offensive character. Now, by the standards of any other fighting game, yes, every character in Dragon Ball FighterZ is an aggressive character, right? There's no Sagat, just tossing fireballs all day. There's no E Honda just down backing in the corner waiting for time to run out, right? Everyone in this game is an aggressive character, but even by the standards of this game, Bardock is definitely more aggressive than most. And a lot of this is on the back of the Rebellion Spear move. Comes in a couple different flavors, and depending on who you talk to, some people might call this move brain dead. But regardless of your opinion of the move, it's definitely kind of one of the focal points of his offense, and allows him to do a lot of what he does best. Now, how is Bardock competitively? Well, I'll save you some time if this is just what you're looking for this video of who's the strongest character. Bardock is the strongest of all these 8, and easily so. Now, not to say other characters on this list are weak, but Bardock is easily the strongest of all of them. He's still debatably, some people debate he's still the best character in the game even after his nerfs. He was wildly the best character in the game before he got nerfed. And yeah, when it comes to just competitive value, Bardock is a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, whatever metric you want to use. Bardock is easily the strongest of all of them. And why is that? Well, a lot of it comes down to, once again, the Rebellion Spear being such a great move. He's just very straightforward. Like, I can't say he's going to mix you up too well other than, his level 3, which is a big part of it because it has the mix-up built into it, where he can very easily make you guess after the knockdown, overhead, low, throw, overhead with a different timing, and so on and so forth. After you get hit by that level 3, you are in a bit of a guessing game. And basically speaking, for the most part, if he gets you with that level 3, if you guess wrong, you probably just lost the character. And that is basically one of the biggest strengths of this character. This right here did get nerfed, and it still persists even after the nerf, because that's how strong the mix-up is. All you had to do is, before it was like automatic timing with his medium Rebellion Spear. Now you just have to manually time it, but still, the mix-up's still there, and between that and just the Rebellion Spear move, this is why Bardock is wildly the strongest of all these characters. Now, when it comes to Bardock's uniqueness as a character compared to the rest of the cast, honestly, he's not all that unique. Yeah, he's really, really good, sure, but unique? Not really. Yes, he has better tools than a lot of the cast has. A lot of tools that a lot of the cast would kill for, honestly. But he's very straightforward. His playstyle, while strong, is very vanilla. All you're seeing out of Bardock is kind of better versions of what a lot of other characters have. When it comes to uniqueness, well, honestly, Bardock, he's not very unique. So at the top of the video, we said we're going to rate all the characters, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So Bardock, as a character, to me, he's pretty vanilla. Now, does that mean he's not strong? Of course not. Like, as we mentioned earlier, I think he's easily the strongest of all 8 of these characters. He's the best competitively, all these characters, and unless there's a massive nerf in the future, he will remain to do so. So, yeah, while he's pretty straightforward, he's pretty vanilla, he's wildly strong. So it all depends, what are you looking for in a character? If you're looking for a unique playstyle, honestly, with Bardock, you're not going to get it. But if you're looking to win, hey, Bardock is probably the guy you want to go to. So all in all, my rating for Bardock is going to be 4 fat monkeys out of 5. So he's not a very interesting character, at least by my personal standards, but he is a wildly strong character. So if you're looking for bang for your buck, Bardock is going to give you bang for your buck. So moving on to Broly. So what makes Broly special in Dragon Ball FighterZ? Well, Broly's all about that armor. So every move Broly has, except for Stand Light, Crouch Light, Jumping Light, and his basic Ki Blast, all have armor. So I'm talking like his medium has armor, his sweep has armor, his heavy buttons have armor, his jumping buttons have armor, all of his special moves have armor, and heck, like some moves like the Lariat Express, it has a lot of armor, as you can tell. So Broly is more of a juggernaut than any other character in fighting games, other than, I guess, Juggernaut in Marvel vs. Capcom, because he's literally Juggernaut. But you know what I mean. Broly is a big character, and thus he has a lot of the big character archetypes. So he has very big buttons. His normals, generally speaking, go out quite a bit further than most characters in the game. He has all sorts of command grabs, so even if you want to block, he can still grab you, and he has a lot of just, you know, big explosion style of moves here. Just Broly is a big giant muscle dynamo. Now, competitively speaking, Broly is pretty average overall. He has a lot of big strengths and he has a lot of strong weaknesses. A lot of these weaknesses come from the size of his stature, as he struggles quite a bit against small characters, as you know, one of his chief initiation moves here, the standing jab, literally can go over the heads of small characters at certain ranges, which is a bit of a source of frustration. And, you know, he's just a large target. He is easily the biggest character in the game. Nobody even really comes close in terms of overall size and width. So he's a big target. And the biggest single weakness he has by a lot, which is one of the reasons really holds him back, is his damage. Without assists, outside of certain edge case scenarios where you have like 7 bars on the corner, Broly's damage is overall the lowest in the game. Now, I know visually that doesn't make much sense, but all of his moves, except for one, which, you know, don't use this one, we don't talk about that. All of his moves are subject to combo scaling before the combo even starts. So no matter what you do, you're going to wind up with a fairly middling to low damage combo. So with assists, you can help mitigate this somewhat, and there's certain setups where you can actually get quite a bit of damage, but overall his damage value is very low. So yes, he has a lot of cool tools, in that he has great buttons, he has command grabs, he has debatably the best basic Ki Blast in the game, but when it comes to his weaknesses, they really balanced out, so overall competitively, he's pretty middle of the road. Now, when it comes to uniqueness, Broly is simply put in a fully different category than every other character. No other character in this game is like Broly. The closest direct comparison you can make is Android 16, and even then they are still very different characters. Broly just brings a lot on the table between like all of his armor, all of his huge normals, just a lot of his toolbox he has. He is just totally his own character, and plus he has a moveset that lets facilitate things that a lot of characters can't have, like just this for an example. So using this as our base here, a lot of characters can't do stuff like this, but the way Broly's level 1 super works, he can let a lot of very weird combos that are not normally possible work. Due to the float up nature that starts to level 1 here, before the super itself connects, he can let a lot of weird combos that are just not normally possible become possible. So with that and his just moveset in general, he is wildly one of the most unique characters in the game. Now, when it comes to rating Broly, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you at home, you the viewer. Broly is wildly my favorite character in this game. So I'm not going to try to be too biased, but yeah, Broly to me is easily the most fun character in this game, and by a lot. Now that said, competitively, once again, he is not anywhere near the strongest on this list. He's a very average character when it comes to his strengths, because he's such a feast or famine character. There's a lot of very strong strengths, but there's also a lot of very strong weaknesses, including some really minute stuff, which doesn't really bear getting into considering what this video is. But long story short, rating wise, super fun, maybe not the strongest character. I will give him 4 fat monkeys out of 5. So what is Vegito in Dragon Ball FighterZ? Vegito, he's a character that, generally speaking, is quite aggressive compared to a lot of the cast. He is going to be going in and he has the tools to do it and tools to make it happen. So he has the love it or hate it, because you'll find both sides of the argument. Stand light attack, which some people say is like, the best stand light attack in the game. Some people say it's the worst. I'm on the side of saying it's better than average. Let's say it that way. He's also the master of the energy sword, the amazing, honestly, huge hitbox energy sword. That is a good defensive wall option against people who are a little too aggressive. And on top of that, he's got a good little grab bag of moves here, because he has all these options, including an anti-air grab, which is usually more the realm of the grappler characters to have anti-air grab moves like that, like 16 and Broly. And overall, he's just a good grab bag of options. As a competitive character, honestly, Vegito's a little middling. Not to say he's bad. I don't think anyone would say Vegito is a bad character, but I don't think anyone's going to accuse him of being a great one either. His offense is a little linear compared to a lot of characters. A lot of times you're just going to see people rush forward and use the, in my opinion, amazing Sandlight Kick. Just kind of vacuum you in and go from a combo from there. But he does suffer from a lot of little issues that are annoying. First of which is he has no real option to provide a sliding knockdown like a lot of other characters can in a lot of basic combos. He's always basically going to be a slave to burning a bar to vanish, to toss you back in with his air grab and then put you in a sliding knockdown from there. And it's a bit annoying. His bar generation is better than almost all of the cast, yes. But considering you're kind of at the behest of always trying to burn a bar in your usual combo, that also, kind of mitigates that bar gain for a lot of the points, right? His damage also is a little bit higher than most of the cast will be, but his trickiness value, a lot of tricks, he open people up, make people believe you might be doing one thing going for another, not so much. Like, he has a counter, sure, the counter's not that great. He's just a solid middle-of-the-road character. There's certainly nothing bad about him. You can't say any flaw about him that's like you would consider really a crippling flaw. Even stuff like the sliding knockdown, he can't mitigate it at the cost of a bar, and since he gains so much bar during combos, mostly thanks to the energy swords, because they gain a lot of bar, that's just kind of, they basically cancel each other out. But there's just nothing overwhelming about him either, so competitively, he's just kind of middle of the road. So Vegito, as far as uniqueness as a character, he's a pretty unique character. I know this first one here is an aesthetic thing, but I do love the character's arrogance totally shines through in the game. With a lot of how his just moves work and all that, you can just tell he's a total cocky character, and I do like that quite a bit. Another thing he has is the reverse beat technique. So a lot of characters in the game, you're kind of stuck in the combo structure where you go into a light attack, into a medium attack, into a heavy attack. And that's generally speaking how this works. But he is allowed to kind of break that structure in the game, thanks to the reverse beat technique. Now, there is a couple other situations with a couple other characters where they can do that, but only Vegito can do that from the start, no caveats, no nothing. He can just always work with it. Now, on top of that, just the energy sword is such a devastating normal. It's just a really good wall for people getting over aggressive. On top of that, the amount of bar it builds is absolutely absurd in the middle of a combo, and depending on your combo, you can get a few in there. You can just build a lot of bar. He has a lot of really neat just combos, a lot of really visually unique flair to everything. So, and in terms of just overall compared to the rest of the cast, some of it, as we just said, is aesthetics, but he also doesn't really play like a lot of characters, at least one-to-one. When it comes to, say, the core, base Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan Vegeta gameplay, which I'd say a good half of the vanilla cast shares in one way or another, he's a little bit different than that, on top of having his own flair, his own combo structures, and that kind of stuff. So when it comes to uniqueness, Vegito is a fairly unique character. Now, as for a rating, I think he's an alright competitive character, and he certainly has a unique flair to him, but overall, I don't know, this is me personally, right? But since I'm rating it, this is just how it goes. I'm still not blown away by the full complete package. No, the one thing I'll say is I know you Vegito fans, you're diehards. For my money, when I play online, I see Vegito more than any other character. I see literally more Vegetos than I see like Super Saiyan Vegetas. I see more Vegetos than I see Cells. Maybe that's just the roll of luck that's kind of come my way. But as far as I can tell, Vegito is the single most popular character online. That's just how I see it. So if you're a Vegito fan, I know for you guys he's 1,000 stars out of 10. And I'm doing this by 5, so it doesn't even make sense about that metric, but whatever. But for me, I will give Vegito 3 fat monkeys out of 5. So what does Zamasu bring to the table? Well, Zamasu, first, before anything else, let's just talk about flight. He is the one character in the game that can fly. So if you want to think like, you know, Sindel, Ermac, Sentinel, whatever you can think of for another flying style character in a fighting game, yo, he has it. Now on top of that, another thing that's very unique for him is he has the lightning attack. So it's a little bit of a buff, as you can see here. It'll just hang on his shoulders, and then after a little while, they'll go off. Now the one thing here is there's a little inherent, I don't want to call it a guessing game because that's strong, but it can make the enemy really wonder when they're allowed to start something off, because they're always going to wait for the lightning to go off first before they'll, you know, kind of mount their offense. And depending on which version you have, they go off at different times. And if you do happen to use the EX version, it'll actually shoot twice, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's just a really neat tool to kind of mentally overwhelm a player of like, well, I don't want to do anything until the lightning goes off, and then go from there. Plus, he has the eminently fun / unfun, depending on which point of view you're looking at, a technique of he can just kind of waste time in a way other characters can't. When you have 3 bars, you can just sit and just kind of go. He's allowed to block while he's flying, and the exact second someone wants to homing dash in on you to stop you from flying, once you have these 3 bars, you can just kind of laugh them off for free, because the second you see that homing dash, you level 3 and wipe them off the face of the earth. So in a way that is fully Zamasu only, he can kind of waste time and just kind of sit and just kind of control the pace in a way with the unique flight, lightning, and threat of level 3 a lot of characters can't. Competitively speaking, Zamasu, I don't think anyone will disagree, is a strong character. Now, one point of contention that does come up is no one can really agree how strong. Some people think, well, yeah, he's an above average-ish character. Some people think he's straight up top tier and all points in between. So your mileage may vary on who you talk to, depending on how strong Zamasu is, but pretty much everyone will agree, yeah, he's strong. For much the same the reasons given above, the fact that he has a pseudo Hellzone style super, which you can either combo into to create very long combos, or you can use as a big pressure tool. The fact that he can very easily let people do double supers is very good. He's not very finicky about it either. It'll work with almost everyone who has a fast super, so he's a great facilitator for that. He's just a really good tool to bring a team together. He has a really good assist, and overall, pound for pound, he's just a good character. Now, when it comes to his uniqueness, hey, he's a pretty unique character. I don't want to belabor the points too much, but you know, like the flight and the lightning are both, you know, unique concepts that are solely available to him and nobody else in the game. And stuff like combo structure, like a basic combo structure for him. And I do mean basic, because this is a very basic combo. You know, a lot of characters don't have combos like that, and that's kind of fun. Like, he doesn't use the usual combo structure that, you know, a good about half the cast uses. The fact that he facilitates, you know, double supers for a lot of characters, and the fact that he can just kind of play a different / slower game plan that a lot of other characters can do, leads him to being a very unique character. So when it comes to rating Zamasu, as we went over, he's indebatably a strong character. The only debate is how strong he is. He's a unique character. He's a fun character. He can just do a lot with a lot. The only way I could see you not liking Zamasu is if you just don't like the character himself, which, you know, hey, that's just going to be what it is, right? But that all said, considering he's pretty much good in every single category, I gotta rate him 5 out of 5. So what does base form Goku bring to the table? Well, he's a Goku, you know. If I do this with this Goku, it's the same as I did with this Goku, and he does a lot of Goku stuff, right? The big things that are different is he has the Spirit Bomb, which is definitely a fan favorite move. That is one of the most damaging moves in this game. In most practical situations, it is going to be the most damaging move in the game, other than, say, Android 16 self-destruct. And that's a really cool thing, and he also has a very, very unique super move with a lot of different layers in the Kaioken that have so many layers I had to make a video that's over 10 minutes long just to explain how everything it worked. But when it's all said and done, hey, he's a Goku. Now, when it comes to base form Goku as a competitive character, he's decidedly very middle of the road. I don't think anyone's going to say he's a bad character outright, but nobody's really going to say he's a great character either. He obviously has strengths for him, you know. He has some very unique Ki Blast that can control space in a very odd way that a lot of characters can't. But when it comes down to it, he just has a very basic tool set. There's not much going for him. 9 times out of 10, if you see him, it's probably like some weird combo video with him doing a spirit bomb, right? And less so in competitive play. Not to say he's bad in competitive play. He actually has one really good use in that his assist is, while not one of the better assists in the game in my opinion, a very worthwhile and unique assist that can work with a lot of characters in a lot of situations that a lot of assists just simply cannot. So it is pretty neat in that regard. But in the end, a lot of times when people pick him, it's just for basically spirit bomb combos, and that's just kind of how it is. Now, when it comes for his uniqueness as a character, well, honestly, he ain't a very unique character. As we just demonstrated earlier, you know, he shares a lot of moves with the other Gokus. A lot of his moves, and I don't mean this in a derogatory term, but a lot of his moves are simply cut and paste. Like, yeah, his Kamehameha is slightly different than Super Saiyan Goku's Kamehameha, but in the end, yo, they're still Kamehamehas. So, yeah, he does have some special moves that are different. And he has a slightly different game plan, but in the end, yeah, he just is not a unique character. And that much is clear as day. So when it comes to rating him as a character, he's a solid enough character. He's certainly not a bad character, but honestly, he doesn't really bring much to the table other than a very unique and cool, obviously, signature attack. But that's kind of it. A lot of reasons why people pick him is basically simply because of this attack and because of the assist, and that's about it. So honestly, even though, once again, he's not a bad character in any way, shape, or form, if you like Goku, you like Goku, and don't begrudge me for this, but in the end, when it comes to the scientific and infallible Fat Monkey rating, I gotta give him a 2 out of 5. So what does base Vegeta aim for? So unlike base Goku, his game plan for what he wants to achieve is kind of different than the Super Saiyan equivalent of the character, as he's a lot more aggressive and mix-up heavy. So when it comes to just the characters himself, the really things that stand out are these two things. One, so he basically has the Structo Disc, right? And the one thing about it is when he does this move, he is left in an airborne state, meaning he's allowed to dash out. That plus an assist means there's a lot of little tricks that can happen in the meantime to mix up the foe. And also his level 3 is one of the more mix-up intensive level 3s in the game. Depending on where you hit it, because it is a slightly different mix-up if you hit it on the ground versus if you hit it in the air, you can get a lot of permutations of high, low, left, right mix-ups. And just kind of go from there, as you are allowed to take the corner from the enemy, as they're never truly in the corner when you do this level 3. The mix-up potential is just very strong. So a lot of reasons why you would pick him on your team is for the mix-up. And on top of that, he has some very crazy, stylish loop combos, which a lot of people are big fans of. He has some unique basic ki blasts here that can really mess with people's sense of timing. He has the teleport overhead, which is certainly a pretty strong move by itself, and also has a lot of lead-ins to a lot of certain gimmicks. So when it compared to at least base Goku, he definitely has a more defined, unique game plan. Competitively, base Vegeta is an excellent character. The only debate is some people think he's a top 5 character and some people think he's just outside of top 5. But no one is going to belabor the point that he is a good character. Between just a lot of stuff like his dive kicks being true block strings and a vanish. That was one thing that Bardock recently had nerfed. He still gets to maintain that. Obviously his very powerful mix-up game with the level 3. And has a higher than average damage. Overall, he's just a fantastic competitive character. Is he the best? No one's going to say he's the best character in the game, but he is definitely among one of the better characters in the game. So as a competitive character, yeah, he's fantastic. So when it comes to his uniqueness as a character, well, while the things that make him, generally speaking, a fairly strong, you know, debatably top tier character, are unique to him, they don't really share that with the other versions of Vegeta, like, yo, you know, these things are still here. He shares a lot of animations. His game plan, for the most part, is going to be different, right? So the animation sharing is not as bad in that regard, but he's still a Vegeta. There's enough Vegetas in this game that you can make a team of 3 Vegetas. So in that regard, yeah, he is not necessarily the most unique character. So coming down to a rating, Competitively, once again, he's a super strong character. The only debate is how strong is he? Is he in top 5 or isn't he, right? And that debate can be had by a lot of people, so leave that to your judgment. But as a character as a whole, he's definitely a lot more unique than some people would think, but he does still share some animations. He still shares some moves, but overall, since he's generally speaking going for a different game plan than the other versions of Vegeta, I'm not going to hold that against him in that regard. So overall, I'm going to give him 3.5 fat monkeys out of 5. Now, moving on to our final 2 DLC characters and the most recently released. Now, let's just talk about Android 17 first. So what does Android 17 bring to the table? Well, he's probably inarguably the most able to just crack somebody open. He, with his driver Rekka system, has all sorts of things like overheads, lows, fake overheads into a low, or maybe a fake overhead into an overhead, or just so many possible permutations. It is one special move, and this is easily his most defining trait by quite a bit. Yes, he obviously has other special moves, like he's got his little weird charged fireball system. He's got wall dives, like he thinks he's Vega or Black Panther, and just some wackiness like that. But yeah, his whole thing is basically making you constantly flip coins, and eventually, when you want heads, you're eventually going to land on tails, and that's when he starts hitting you. And that's kind of his ball game right there, is more so than basically any other character. He makes you want to guess high-low over and over and over until you finally crack. Competitively speaking, and this is a little subjective. I know all these are subjective, but this one a little more than most, just because they are, as of the time of this recording, quite new characters. Most people would agree, hey, he's pretty good. Some people will go as far as to say top tier. Personally, I don't agree he's a top 5 character, nothing like that, but I do think he's a very strong, solid character. He has clearly defined strengths and weaknesses, and I think those strengths outweigh those weaknesses, making him a better than average character. That said, your mileage may vary, but I think most people would agree at the very end of the day, he is a strong character. Now, onto his uniqueness as a character. So, the main thing he is focused on is the Excel driver mix-up system here. So, between all the options he has, all, if you want to call them gimmicks he has so much going on for him there, and that part is fully and completely unique to him because nobody can really emulate what he can do short of like bringing assists into the table. But this is stuff he can do solo, right? But besides that, that's kind of really the big thing about him. So while that thing is certainly unique, it is just mix-ups. In the end, making you guess high-low, and everyone can do that on some level. The way he does it is different than everyone else, sure. But the concept is not unique to him. So the move is very unique, and what he wants to do on the table is unique in a way, but in the end, it still just kind of mix you up, guess high-low. Coming to a rating of the character, so he's definitely an offensive dynamo, he's a mix-up master to be absolutely sure, but to me that's just kind of where it begins and ends. I don't think there's really much more to the character than that. Is it strong? Yes, sure, absolutely. And I know a lot of people are fans of the character from Dragon Ball Super, or even before Dragon Ball Super, but this is the Dragon Ball Super incarnation of the character. But for me, since he is a little one-note, I do got to hold that against him, because I don't like characters that are one-note. I like characters a little more under the toolbox, a little more depth to them. And I don't think he's a bad character. I think he's a strong character competitively, and with all those things in mind, he will rate 3.5 fat monkeys out of 5. So what does Cooler bring to the table? Well, Cooler, he's a nice little grab bag of a lot of things. So first and foremost, he has a lot of good normals. He has the medium here, the tail, fantastic air-to-air normal, which can easily convert into a down heavy. Or if he's meeting the foe in the air aggressively, convert into a jab into down heavy. The sweep version, amazing normal, such fantastic range. And onto some of his other moveset here, he has the beam. And if you are lucky, you get to hear the special yeah noise. and everyone loves that noise. He also has an invincible reversal, a true invincible reversal, and as far as the context of this game goes, that's actually quite rare. So he's got a lot of things going for him, as well as a dive kick, allowing him to attack from some interesting angles. So between all the options presented here, he's just got a nice little toolbox. He can do a lot of things, maybe not any one thing the best, but he's comfortable playing a lot of different aspects of the game. So where is Cooler as a competitive character? Now, of all the characters on this list, this is kind of the most difficult to say, because once again, as of the time of this recording, this is a fairly new character, right? The overall opinion is he's a solid mid-tier character. I've seen some people argue he's a little lower than mid-tier. I've seen people argue he's a little higher than mid-tier, but overall, most people seem to agree he's a mid-tier character. His damage is alright, so a little better than average in the corner, yes. Obviously, he has a lot of tools, which is really good, but he doesn't have basically a lot of grease. He doesn't have a lot of trickiness. He doesn't have a lot of ways to, really crack people open. When it comes to, a lot of the big character stuff, like the big normals, well, honestly, Broly and Android 16 kind of do it better than he does. So it's not as amazing in that regard. The one thing you can critique him with is, I guess you could say, he's too honest of a character. He's quite straightforward. He doesn't have, at least maybe not discovered as of yet at this time, a lot of just really tricky or really neat stuff. So while he's in no way or shape or form just a bad or wretched character, he kind of just lacks that extra little polish just to put him over the top. Now, onto his uniqueness as a character. To be honest, there's not one thing that he has that's really unique. What's unique about him is the fact that he has all these variety of moves in one package. So he has all the big normals, and yeah, some of the the larger characters like your 16s and your Brolys and some other characters have big normals too. But he also has the invincible reversal. He has the dive kick. These are things that exist separately across other characters, but no one character can really bring all these things together, and he does. So that is kind of his big selling point, and that he's just got a nice little toolbox going on for him. So while no one thing about it may be particularly very unique, the fact that they're all combined in one package is. So coming to a rating for Cooler. So Cooler is a pretty complete toolbox. He's got a lot of things going for him. He has a lot of interesting tools to work with. The one thing is just, while they are all good, nothing about it is specifically great. And as a fan of big characters in fighting games, he is a big character, and I do appreciate that, but while he has obviously good normals, these normals are not maybe as overwhelming as, like, say, some of the tools that, like, Broly or Android 16 have. Or even, say, someone like Majin Buu has, like, some giant King Kong normals, which far outstrip the range of what Cooler has here. So his big character stuff is not as big as some of the other big characters. So overall, very complete toolset, yes, but since nothing really goes above and beyond, I will rate him here at 3.5 fat monkeys out of 5. So there you have it. Now, in the end here, obviously a lot of what I said is subjective, but that's my opinion. However, the one thing that is not my opinion is the fat monkey rating system, because while my flawed human hands have used this rating system, so I may have made mistakes with it, the actual rating of fat monkeys out of 5 is itself infallible. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it has found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.